Is being highly sensitive something we're born with? Is it a gift? Is it a curse? Or is it a coping mechanism? In this video, I'm going to explain some new perspectives on the subject. Watch this video. If you're a fan of my work and you've watched probably a couple hundred of my videos so far, you know that I'm a huge fan of high sensitivity, of light workers, empaths, people who kind of tap into something that is often seen as a negative, but in my experience, I like to empower it to be a positive. I want to take this subject of high sensitivity, of being empathic, and I want to take it a little step further. As I dive into a lot of the work I do in my monthly membership program, Truth Room Tribe, if you haven't checked it out, please do. The link is below. This month is all about what I call the protected self or the false self, the part that we create as a coping mechanism to deal with our dysfunction in childhood or those unmet emotional needs or just an environment that isn't getting us what we need. So we actually create these mechanisms, these abilities to cope with things that aren't naturally aligned for us. And what happens later in life as we start to really heal and become the adult version of self or the mature version of self, because we can be adults and not mature. So I like to say the emotionally mature version of self, we start noticing that those coping mechanisms become very obvious. And instead of becoming the thing that saves us, they start to make us stuck. Almost feel like we're in a prison, almost sabotage us. As a highly sensitive person, I've started to really explore this option and this idea more publicly recently because of my Truth Room Tribe membership members and because of a lot of the things that we're discovering together and going into codependency and issues with love addiction and things like this that can really be another coping mechanism that comes off of the original coping mechanism. So I'm going to explain a little further. Are we born highly sensitive? Maybe. Is it a coping mechanism? Maybe. And I just want to explore this idea with you today because as I've healed a lot of my own life experiences and inner child wounds, I've noticed that yes, I'm still tuned in and highly sensitive to something beyond, but it's totally different. It's actually something I was opened up to as a young kid, probably in some ways because I was looking out there for help with what was going on in here, for another option, for a way out of a situation that wasn't feeling good. And I think a lot of kids start to tune in that way. Their nervous system gets really sort of what I call hypervigilant. And you know, I don't want to say that we're not highly sensitive or we're not spiritually inclined kids. Everyone is actually born sensitive and spiritually inclined. Some of us go towards that as a means to understand things. And when we're hypervigilant or we're in childhood situations that don't feel good, we tend to be really sensitive about other people's emotions, other people's opinions, other people's needs. This has come to a lot to my attention lately because as I really shift in my own life, I notice that I'm not hypervigilant to other people's needs or opinions anymore, but I am highly sensitive to my environment. It just doesn't affect me in a negative way anymore, where I can really see and feel and understand other people's experience, which is why I do what I do, but it doesn't throw me off my own game. When we're young and we're highly sensitive, one of the biggest issues we have is inner and outer boundaries. We don't have boundaries around that sensitivity, so it can almost become hypervigilance. It can almost become a coping mechanism to be really hypersensitive around other energies and other people so we know how to stay safe, so we can read other people and know how to react or respond. And what that does is it keeps us away from our own authenticity. So something to think about. When I'm coaching someone that has codependency, I notice that codependency usually happens in people that are highly sensitive or empathic because they have a lack of boundary and they give over what they feel for someone else's experience. They let go of their sort of emotional needs to kind of cater to someone else's outside of them to stay safe. coping mechanism. But what's interesting is when you do this as a coping mechanism and you sort of become that hypervigilant energy of what does everyone else around me need so I can feel good, so I can make them feel good, and then I can feel good. If I can make someone else feel good, my needs will get met. Safe. Coping mechanism. But what happens over time is if I start giving over my own authentic needs and feelings for other people, I start to feel like, who the hell am I? How do I make a decision? How do I know right from wrong for me? And what we start to do is we start to cater externally so that our sense of things is based on others. And how unempowering is that? So the point of this, of really looking at your high sensitivity and saying, God, shit, did I create that or enhance that as a coping mechanism? Is it working for me or against me now? My high sensitivity works for me because I use it in work. But in life, if I still had that level of high sensitivity or hypervigilance without a boundary, it would definitely be working against me because I would be disconnected from my own inner guidance system to align with others, which is what those of us who use it as a coping mechanism do. We really sort of cut off our own inner guidance because we feel like what we feel is going to get me in trouble. It's not going to be what my caretaker wants. It's not going to be what gets me what I need. So I'll cut off what I feel and need and align with them. That's the coping mechanism. If we can take that back and realize that the only way we will ever feel safe in life is to align with me. And what is me? A lot of people who deal with this in my work have perfectionism. I talk about that a lot. I have to do it right. If I don't get it right, hypervigilance. If I don't get it right, I'm going to feel like there's something wrong with me. I'm going to be wrong. So I've got to get it right. What is right? And we start to align with ideals and measures and systems externally. When we start realizing that there is no right or wrong, there's a moral code, there's ethics, but what is right and wrong for you, meaning how do I feel? A lot of highly sensitive people that I talk to, or codependent people, feel totally disconnected from what they really feel. They think that what they feel is actually what they think they should feel. What I want to start to just introduce is when you're around toxic people specifically, whether you've shut this down or not, you are able to feel. You will feel nervous. You will feel anxious. You won't feel good. You might question that, but the truth is your body, your ability to be highly sensitive, is telling you this isn't right for you. You might say to yourself, well, it should be right because this person is great. This person is providing this and this person is amazing. Your body knows it's not right for me. And when we start to kind of shed that coping mechanism of high sensitivity and really own that sort of empathic ability that's empowered, we start to notice that our feelings, when we get real about how we feel, heals us. Oh my God, for some reason, I'm not going to question it. It doesn't feel good. That is your inner guidance. Instead of aligning with, oh my gosh, it doesn't feel good, but maybe it should feel good because these other people, we get rid of other people and we go back to you. What does it feel like? Anyone I ever coach that has issues around high sensitivity that isn't fully empowered yet, so it's kind of that coping mechanism sensitivity. When I say go back to how you feel, it's very confusing for a lot of people. Well, how do I know how I feel? How does your body feel? I don't know, I can't feel anything. Okay. Stop focusing on others. Stop focusing on that energetic sensitivity. Stop focusing out there. Opinions, pleasing, perfection, it doesn't matter. What I want you to focus on is, how does this experience sit within me right now? This is how we start to shed that coping mechanism of high sensitivity and own the empowerment of being empathic, of being really attuned with self first and then others. You guys, I hope you're having an amazing week. Please check links below. My group coaching course starts April 2nd. It is called The Inner Work. It is all about this, but you're doing it with others like you in your own little tribe. Also, the launch of my emotional rehab is going to be delayed 1 month for a couple of reasons I'll be sharing in my monthly membership. So if you haven't checked any of those things out, please look below and I will see you soon. Namaste.